The X-Men. Trying to sum up the history of these films is one of the most bizarre things, simply because when you say it out loud, you realize how ridiculous it all is. The X-Men film franchise has been around for about 16 years. It has 2 trilogies, set in 2 different timelines, with different casts playing the same characters, which are supposed to connect somehow, but no one can actually figure out how, not even the screenwriters it seems. They will also soon have an entire trilogy of spin-off films once Wolverine 3 gets here, and the makings of a new series of spin-off films with a runaway completely surprise success of the excellent Deadpool movie. Yet, despite the ridiculousness, the inconsistencies, the hokey and at times poorly directed action scenes, this franchise is still here, and for the most part is going strong, at least amongst fans anyway. Now, I could sit here and try to answer the question about why that is, considering that the series only really has 4 good movies, but that'd be too easy since all I have to do is point out that they really only have 2 bad movies, and the rest all just kind of float somewhere in the middle. So yeah, it's easy to see why they're still around, so I guess the logical question is, what should they do next? Well, to be honest, the best way to answer that is by posing another question, which is, do we really need any more X-Men movies? For me, the answer is no, but also, yes. Confused? Well, let me explain. My opinion on the X-Men movies is that they should stop doing them about the actual X-Men team, but continue doing solo and spin-off movies like Deadpool and Wolverine, who are still part of that universe, but with the actual X-Men team taking a backseat to them. What's my reasoning for this? Well, it's because the thing about the X-Men is there are literally fucking hundreds of them, and yet every movie in the main 2 trilogies so far has been about the same main group of people. Now, we can probably say that First Class doesn't really fall into that category, because they bothered to sub out for some new faces that we hadn't seen before. However, even that film, like pretty much all the others, hinges on the relationship between Professor X and Magneto. It only seems different because for the first time it isn't being told from Wolverine's perspective, because for some reason Fox is only interested in the X-Men franchise when it has either Wolverine or Magneto in it. This is why I think that the Deadpool movie actually getting made is a goddamn miracle, and that the Gambit movie with Channing Tatum in it is doomed, which sucks because regardless of how you feel about Gambit, making his movie was a step in the right direction the same way Deadpool's movie was. Now, I'm not saying we need to give every X-Men character their own movie, not all of them deserve one, but I think we've had enough of this team for now. There's no real need for any more Storm, Jean and Cyclops team movies. We've had plenty of those at this point. However, if they were to say do a solo Storm movie that shows her backstory, that'd be pretty great. Or if they wanted to do a Jean and Cyclops movie that fleshes them and their relationship out a lot better than the previous versions have done, that'd be pretty freaking cool. However, if Fox does want to do a team movie so badly, they should do an X-Force movie for God's sakes. That'll help keep things fresh and interesting because it's an entirely new team with entirely new characters, led by Deadpool. Well, not really led, he's not the leader, but you know what I mean. Or, you know, at the very least, they could just give us some new kids in the main team, and not just cannon fodder like the new guys in Days of Future Past. I mean, actually tell their stories and show them coping with their abilities. Basically just like what First Class did. Another reason I think they should stop with the X-Men team movies is that really all of them have had the exact same plot. That being, the team wants humans and mutants to coexist, but the bad guy doesn't think that's possible and wants to go on a genocidal rampage. That's it. That is every X-Men movie ever made, summed up in a sentence. In the comics, they also travel into space and fight aliens. There are so many things that they can have the X-Men do outside this one plot that it's starting to feel played out. Whereas if you do solo movies, that means you can tell personal stories on however big a scale you want and make them about something different for a change. Say what you will about the Wolverine movies, but they and Deadpool both did this wonderfully. Wolverine Origins was a revenge movie, a shitty revenge movie, but still a revenge movie. The Wolverine was a movie about Logan figuring out who he is and who he wants to be and learning to let go of his past. Deadpool was a love story about a guy who just wants to be with his girlfriend, but he's afraid she won't be able to love him back. I guess what I'm ultimately trying to say here is that they should still totally make X-Men movies. They just need to shake things up a bit, revitalize it, without doing another complete reboot. I'll be honest, I might say I don't think there should be any more X-Men team movies, but that being said, if they did make more, I would still totally go watch them, purely because these characters are a lot of fun to watch. And at the end of the day, isn't that all that matters? That we are still getting fun, enjoyable movies with likable characters that we can sit through instead of, well, you know. If you enjoyed this video, why not check out some of my others? If you'd like to hear my thoughts on the X-Men movies, I did a review on X-Men Apocalypse where I briefly talked about my feelings on those movies as well as that particular film. Or if you'd like to hear me talk about superheroes, I did a video on why Batman vs Superman failed amongst critics, which probably links back to that whole thing about being likable and fun that I mentioned earlier. Thank you for watching this show. If you enjoyed, please let me know. You can like and share, subscribe if you dare, and please leave a comment below.